We begin with our news. We go to Syria, where the government commission is set to meet with other organizations in Geneva on Wednesday in order to reform the country's constitution. In order to have more details about this process, we have the following report from our correspondent in Damascus, Syria, Hisham Wanous. Welcome, Hisham. Please tell us.
Hola, colegas. Saludos, amables televidentes. Efectivamente, mañana, miércoles 30 de octubre, tendrá lugar en la
The government and civil society organizations are holding consultation meetings in order to achieve reforms necessary to several articles in the Syrian constitution, which will be subject to a vote and then a referendum. The delegation from the Syrian opposition said that it will propose its own project for the Syrian constitution after analyzing the constitution of the Arab Syria Republic from 1920 until 2012 and studying the political system in Russia, the United States, the United Kingdom and France. They say that what's happened on the ground is the only issue that will define the reforms. The Syrian government said that it won't accept any foreign interference in the work, saying that if there is any kind of intervention, it will abandon the talk. The international mediator for Syria, J. Pedersen, said that this is a representative commission that is made up of representatives from across the Syrian society. He added that the commission's work is based on respect for the United Nations Charter, United Nations Security Council resolutions, especially Resolution 2254, as well as respect for sovereignty, independence, unity, and Syrian territorial solution to the conflict in Syria. The Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, arrived in the Genevan order to meet with his Iranian and Turkish counterparts, as well as the UN Special Envoy, in order to push for a political process and create a harmonious environment between the different parties that make up the Constitutional Commission, which was set up in September 23rd. It's important to highlight that meetings are taking place in Syria to continue fighting against terrorism, the eradication, which is fundamental to political advancement. The need for foreign troops to leave Syria is also evident if a political solution is to be found. The need for foreign troops to leave Syria is also evident if a political solution is to be found.
Thank you, Hisham. And now we move on to Lebanon, where Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri announced his resignation following nationwide demonstrations that have been ongoing for nearly 2 weeks. Hariri sought to end the protest last week through a set of reforms to tackle corruption and a worsening economy, but they failed to satisfy demonstrators.
For 13 days, the Lebanese people have waited for a decision, for a political solution that would stop the deterioration of our country. I have tried during this period to find a way out, to listen to the people and to protect the country from economic, social, and other dangers. Today, I will not hide it from you. I have reached a dead end. It is time for us to have a big shock to solve the crisis. I'm going to the Abda Palace to present my resignation to President Michel Aoun and to the Lebanese people in all regions. This is in response to the will of many Lebanese who took to the streets to demand change and out of commitment to the need for providing a safety net that protects the country in this historic moment.
And though Lebanese protesters have welcomed Prime Minister Hariri's resignation, they said that they would continue to protest until their demands are met.
Hariri's resignation is the beginning of realizing what we are working for. This is not yet enough. We surely want more than this. We want to continue with the remaining steps.
I want to say that we are remaining in the square despite Hariri's resignation, because from the beginning we said all of them means all of them. We are staying in the squares until they all go down.
And now we go to Beirut, Lebanon, to hear more about the ongoing uncertainty over the replacement of Prime Minister Hariri and the citizens' reaction. We go there with our correspondent Wafika Ibrahim. Welcome, Wafika. Please update us.
We are here from the main square in downtown Beirut. Behind us is the seat of the presidency and of the Council of Ministers. We are surrounded here by people who have been on the streets for 13 days, who have been rising up on strikes, blocking roads, and calling for ministerial change and the overthrow of the government due to its neoliberal politics, which have brought the country to the brink of collapse. Today, the Prime Minister presented his resignation in writing to the President of the Republic, and it's now in his hands. In Lebanon, his exit is considered a sure thing, and the government is now in power in only name. The situation in Lebanon isn't the same as it was before the government fell. The country has entered a phase of immense uncertainty. Although the youth feel they have achieved something, avoid the parliament achievement achieved. A few days after the beginning of the marches and strikes, the appointment of a new leader in this country, due to the internal, regional and international circumstances which have a direct influence on Lebanon, is subject to the will of several countries that have political interests within Lebanon. We have to see what the United States wants, what France wants, what Iran wants, what Saudi Arabia wants, what the United Arab Emirates want. A new prime minister needs to be approved by all these forces. They need to come up with a compromise. Without a doubt, we can say that there is a new force in this country, a new political division. One party is calling for a dialogue, and there are other groups within other groups participating in the popular protest movement. They are calling for a dialogue to avoid losing everything, of the belief that only dialogue can save this country. There is another force that have raised graves after the Prime Minister resignation, and is not calling for the overthrow of the presidential mandate and parliament. That's the observer who thinks that it would be madness to bring Lebanon down in total vacuum, especially because of the difficulties that we have just mentioned.
Thank you, Wafika. Like this, we go to a first and very short break. Remember to follow us on Twitter at Soldier English and on my account at Laura Pitelesor. You stay with us. In fact, we go to Chile 12 days of protest after this past October 17th started. And this Thursday, the streets of Santiago were full of people once again, and they were organizing this general strike for Wednesday. Some of the demonstrators chanted demands for the release of those arrested during the last 12 days of protest. More than 3,000 people have been jailed so far, while others they have played music. Those face daily repression soon follow as police fire tear gas and rubber pellets at the peaceful protest. They are demanding President Piñera's resignation and a call for a new constitution, and also their dissatisfaction with Monday's changes at Piñera's ministerial cabinet. And from the streets of Santiago de Chile, the capital, our correspondent Alejandro Kirk was there, and he has the details for us on the following report, because Chileans were gathering for the second largest demonstration on these 12 days after the one we saw on Friday, where over 1 million Chileans gathered at the Italy Square. And now we have the report from Alejandro Kirk. Alejandro, we hear you. You are on the streets of Santiago de Chile. Tell us, how was the day?
It's been a tough day in Santiago today. Again, a big demonstration of health workers and supporters tried to reach La Moneda, the presidential palace, to deliver the same message they have been trying to deliver for now 12 days, which is Constitutional Assembly and a new government, resignation of President Piñera. The list of grievances is so long that it's difficult to say. I would say that not less than 100,000 people were today on the streets protesting, and they were really brutally attacked by the police. Brutally because we were there. We saw at least 10 people injured by rubber bullets. One of them was an official of the National Institute of Human Rights who was taken to hospital. It has 6 bullets in his body, and we saw these cops firing at random. The denunciation has been that they should straight to the faces of people. More than 150 people have severe eyes injuries, which confirm what we have been seeing on the streets all this time. Tomorrow there is a national strike. Tomorrow is supposed to be a turning point in this struggle. People expect that the government at last will hear the message of fundamental change in this country. It is not. It has been 30 years of neoliberalism, which the population is fighting. It's almost, a consensus.
Piñera, no vamos a matarlo, no vamos a matar a Piñera.
This is very.
Piñera va a la casa, no mientan, hijos de la perra.
Nos venimos aquí al Piñera. El Piñera está matando a la gente aquí en este país para que se sepa aquí en Chile están matando a la gente para que se sepa.
Los homicidios no salen en la tele.
Han matado a 40 personas han matado en este país. Ellos, los milicos, los ratis, la policía. Sí, hermano, para que se sepa, mister.
Well, what these people are saying is the same message we have been hearing.
Lo están matando al pueblo, lo están matando al pueblo.
We have been hearing all week. Piñera, they say, is a murderer. Piñera has been killing people, that people are disappearing, that people are being tortured. That's the message we get. People are desperate to deliver their message.
¡Cambia la Constitución! ¡Piñera killer! ¡Cambia la Constitución!
Piñera killer, change the Constitution. That's a message. It's difficult to say more than what we have heard here right now. This is every day we get the same situation. We start speaking and people feel that they need to deliver their message, to be heard by somebody. The local press is not listening. The international press is not listening. It seems only Telesur and some other outlets are reporting this. This is my report for today.
Thank you, Alejandro. That was Alejandro Kirk from the streets of Santiago de Chile, and he's been showing us alongside with our other correspondent, Paola Dragnik, and you can follow them also on Twitter to have more details of what they are seeing, of what they are reporting for us. Stay tuned with us. When we are back, we have more news from around the world. We are back with our news, and we go to Chicago, where Mayor Lori Lightfoot met with leader of the city's teachers union to urge teachers to accept the agreement the city has put on the table to stop the strike, which is keeping classrooms closed. Chicago Teachers Union members started the strike on October 17th, and they are calling for a proper deal to enhance public school conditions and demand preparation for time for teachers. The CTU said that their expectations were not met during talks, meaning the strike will continue into Wednesday. Meanwhile, Lightfoot claimed the union are holding up the resolutions of contract issues for political reasons.
And there's a great deal on the table. It's $500 million. It provides new supports for class sizes, for staffing, for homelessness, for sports, every issue that they've identified and said that are the main issues. What's holding this up now is a set of political issues in an effort to try to cut instruction time, which we can never agree to. We cannot take steps back, and we're not going to incorporate non-core issues into a contract.
Take it to the sidewalk.
we are here today. Our kids are out of school today and potentially out of school tomorrow because of political issues and a last-minute grab to reduce the length of the school day or the length of the school year. That's what happened today.
And Indian police have clashed with protesters in India-occupied Kashmir as far-right European Union lawmakers paid a visit to the region. The demonstrators regarded the visit as a way to blunting criticism of India's approach to Kashmir since it stripped its autonomy in August. A delegation of about 30 European lawmakers, including far-right deputies from Poland, France, Germany and Britain, also met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And now we move on because an agreement to deeper tie of cooperation between Russia and Venezuela was approved during Tuesday's Constituent National Assembly session in Caracas. The agreement seeks to establish a greater relationship between both countries' oil company, PDVSA and Rosneft. Following the illegal sanctions applied on Venezuela by the illegal and unilateral sanctions applied on Venezuela by United States, the president of the National Constituent Assembly, Diosdado Cabello, applauded and congratulated Russia's support for the Latin American country during the situation it is currently facing.
The Russian Federation has been one of the main bastions of resistance. They have made every effort to do what's necessary regardless of these sanctions, supporting the people of Venezuela. We were there and the president of the Russian Duma told us they will support us with whatever is necessary for Venezuela. Constituents who agree to approve this proposal do so with the usual sign, approve.
And magistrates on the Peruvian Constitutional Tribunal have voted unanimously to challenge President Martín Vizcarra's decision to dissolve Congress. Opposition lawmakers brought a legal case against President Vizcarra on Tuesday, contending that he broke the law when dissolving the legislature, triggering a constitutional crisis. Various groups of Peruvian citizens protested against the measure at the Constitutional Court building. For his part, the president said that the legislators had in effect rejected 2 votes of confidence.
The competency claim for processing is allowed, and the executive power will be notified so that the questions are answered in accordance with Vizcarra's right to a defense in the corresponding time.
And Barbados' foreign reserves have increased to over $595 million at the end of September 2019. This is up from $322.5 million back in October 2018. The central bank in its latest report explains that this was due to lower external debt payments and a second dispersal of funds from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. In the last budget, Mia Mottley administration announced that it will loosen its grip on nearly 5 decades of foreign exchange controls. As a result, Barbadians can now open foreign currency denominated bank accounts to hold money they have earned at home or abroad. And like this, we come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and much more other information on our website, telesurenglish.net, where you can read opinion articles, watch special interviews, and find so much more material that we produce especially for you, and where you can follow up these massive protests taking place in Chile, protests in Catalonia, and of course, news related to other countries in our Caribbean, like in Cuba, the new economic measures adopted by the Cuban government. So you continue with us with Telesur, connecting our global thoughts until next time. Thank you for watching.